Number one, you're testing the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm just going to write down a squared plus b squared equals to c squared. And since this particular one, okay, your right angle is here, which means this is c. And again, it doesn't matter which one you call a and b. So if I wanted to test this, I would simply say, pick a side for a and b. So I'm just going to say 6 squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. So we'll have 36 plus 64. Does that equal to 100? Yes. So that means that those three different numbers can actually form a right triangle. So that's what you're doing in the first section. Now let's go down to section 2. Okay. All right, in section 2, they give you, and this is question number 5. So they give you A and B, but they do not give you which one? C. Now, this one I'm not even going to do because this is the one that's a very common one. This is your 3, 4, 5 right triangle. So I'm just going to say x equals to 5 because that's the perfect 3, 4, 5 triangle. So let's do one that's not as, that's one that you'll just tend to memorize, the 3, 4, 5. So let's actually do question number 6. So again, start off with your theorem. Okay, you can identify A, B. So I'm going to say this is B. Obviously, this is C. And I don't know A. Okay. So I'm going to say x squared plus 6 squared. I'm just going to say 36 equals to 100. So this is going to come out to be subtract 36. And what is 100 minus 36? All right, 64. And then to undo the squared, you take the square root. So x equals to what? 8, and this was in centimeters. All right, so once you have it set up, it's just like solving an equation. You get down to the end to undo the squared part. You just simply take the square root. All right, let's go over to the back. So I'm doing one in each section. Now notice the ones on the back, some of them have a radical. Okay, so I'm going to do one that has a radical. All right, so again, I'm going to identify A, B, and C. Okay, obviously this is C. And again, it doesn't matter which one you call A and B. Okay, doesn't matter. All right, so when I square this, I'm going to have x squared, because that's my A value, plus rad 37 squared equals, they like to use 10 as a hypotenuse, I see. Okay, so this is going to be x squared plus 37, because when you square a radical, it just gets rid of the rad, equals 100. So what is 100 minus 37? Okay, 63. Now that's not a perfect square. All right. So we're going to, and actually according to the directions, it says leave the answer as a simplified radical. Okay. All right. So when we do a simplified radical, you can do that on your calculator. But what is the perfect square in 63? What's the factor that's a perfect square? Let's just do it by hand. A perfect square in 63? 9 and 7. Okay, so when I take out the square root of 9, I'm going to have 3 rad 7 as my value for x. Okay, so we're going to leave it like that. So that part, it says to leave it as a Simplified radical if it doesn't come out to be a perfect square. When you get down to the last section, it says leave your answers in simplified radical form. Same thing. Okay, so really 9 through 18 are all the same. You just don't have the picture for 13 through 18, but it's just the same as 9 through 12. And then the very last part, it says to give a decimal if it's not a perfect square. Okay, so in 19 and 20, you're just solving for C.